So we're going in here to Fairyland Caverns, and again we're just following our nose here, and again it's a little bit more dark than it would appear on the video.
Rock City's co-founder. Seeds of make-believe were placed along the trail in a nod to her German heritage and her love of fairy tales, nursery rhymes, and folklore. Many of the known figures you'll see were specially imported from Germany in the 1930s. These figures were originally placed along other parts of the Enchanted Trail, but found a permanent home in Fairyland Caverns when it opened in 1947. At that time, Rock City was a pioneer in the use of ultraviolet black light and special paint to illuminate scenes and spur the imagination. At the end of Fairyland Caverns, you'll find Mother Goose Village, completed in 1964. Sculptress Jessie Sanders,
Well, I can't wait to see Mother Goose Village. I spent my whole life waiting to see Mother Goose Village.
surrounded by characters from over 2,000 lines and children's stories.
Okay, let me go ahead. And there's Diamond Corridor. Watch your step, I can say that again. Ooh. Now we're going underneath the rock here. That's caged off, as this one is as well. Somewhat reminds me of the mining tour we took out in Butte, Montana. Temperature down here is as it was out there as well. It's going to be constant all year round, the same temperature. So in summer, which is now of course, it'll be a lot cooler than it is outside. Conversely, in winter, it would be a lot warmer than it is outside, but the temperature down here in a situation like this would always be the same. I know Declos is going under the rocks here like this, so it's good that we found this. It's not strenuous like Ape Cave was, fortunately enough. But nonetheless, it's a nice thing. Who needs air conditioning when you can come down here? Here's a little goblin here working his magic. Gnomes. Gnomes, gnomes. That fellow there, he somewhat reminds me of Michael D. Higgins, the President of Ireland, except for two things. Well, three actually, now that I think of it. He's probably more intelligent, he's slightly bigger, and most importantly, he actually works for a living. So that's three differences right there. It's good to see him. What have we here? Well, we got a nice fire going, that's all I know. Can't make it out, but if I had to guess, I think they're watching the latest episode of Games of Thrones. could be wrong. I have been known to be wrong before. And a nice little dog sitting by the fire. Yeah, he looks like a Dalmatian. Not a very sturdy dog, so I hope they've got plenty of money because they'll be paying a lot of veterinary bills for that fellow. Oh my goodness, what have I got here? It looks to be a happy couple, perhaps. A mother and her little son. Happy days.
They're all haunted domes, they say.
Haunted, wow, I well believe it.
But they're over 100 years old.
Yeah. Well, look at this. The Pied Piper himself. J.C. Sanders original. Pied Piper. The world is made up of Pied Pipers. People will follow them till the end of the earth. Because once you get hooked up in their Blarney, it's over. Between 1942 and 45, the tourism boom slowed for Rock City and Chattanooga due to the effects of World War II. Well, that makes perfect sense indeed, because it doesn't have the same enjoyment without Dad. Did you know? I know him very well. The gnomes hiding throughout this exhibit are original gnomes belong to Frida Carter. Most of these gnomes have lived here since the 1920s. Those gnomes are 100 years old. Who could have thought that a gnome would live that long? And this gnome, I don't know how he's living at all, smoking that pipe, and he's carrying a few extra pounds as well, and doesn't seem to be doing too much exercising. We were all that soldier once in our day. I gotta get out walking. Alrighty, what have we here?
It's the biggest gingerbread house I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness, that is a ginger house and a half. You see the old lady there? Let's zoom in on the old lady.
I don't know, shit that big.
Oh my goodness, the old lady is not an old lady at all. It is the wife of the president of France. Some people believe she's a man, but I can see now that she's an old lady. A lot older than him anyway, about 40 years older than him, but love is blind. Sometimes love is stupid as well. Anyway, that is a gingerbread house of great rapport. Alrighty, continuing on. Rip Van Winkle. Well, we all know what he's famous for. That fellow went to sleep and he didn't wake up for many, many, many years, and he slept through the entire thing. Now, obviously, it even looks like him. That is a metaphor for Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been basically asleep for maybe a couple of decades at least. But here's president, and some people believe he was the best president ever, but he didn't do anything wrong, he didn't do anything right, he didn't do anything at all, but that was Joe Biden, sometimes known as Sleepy Joe. Everybody's represented down here. Continuing on. Well, the young lady with the wolf. Who's the young lady with the wolf? It's not Snow White.
Oh, the redhead over there. Where's
Who's the lady that went out into the forest and the wolf nearly ate her? Little Red Riding Hood, exactly.
He's looking for the wolf.
That's the
Oh,
wolf.
there's the wolf.
See the wolf? That is the wolf. You can see the big smile on the wolf. The wolf is smiling because he's looking to have a juicy dinner. He's going to eat the Little Red Riding Hood. Now, that can only be Bill Clinton, really. See the eyes? Slick Willie, they called him. He sees a victim, a young maiden, and as they say, the rest is history. Now that is Little Red Riding Hood. And she is obviously a 19-year-old intern, and we will not mention that poor lady's name. But continue on, we'll say goodbye to Bill. Oh my goodness, what have we got here? Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, Jack was a fellow that found a couple of beans, and he decided to sow the beans, and sure enough, a giant beanstalk grew up. What happened to Jack after that? Well, curiosity killed the cat, and Jack couldn't help himself, so he climbed up the beanstalk. And up there he found a giant up in the upper world. Needless to say, as all giants do, he had plenty of gold, like a lot of people, like my friend at home in Ireland, Mr. T, we'll call him because we won't use his name. He's got a bit of gold as well, fair play to him. Anyway, he went up and he stole the gold. That's what happened to Jack. Jack was a thief. Jack could be any politician because they're all thieves. And I think myself that is a metaphor for insider trading, where they use insider knowledge to make millions of dollars. They're all millionaires down there in Washington, D.C. Anyway, Jack got caught. Perhaps some subcommittee called him to task and he was perjuring himself and he was in trouble. So he climbed down the stalk. Needless to say, the nasty giant was climbing down after him. But Jack was no fool. He pulled out an axe and he chopped down the stalk, and the stupid giant fell to his death. That was a sad ending to the giant, but Jack got off scot-free like all politicians do. Now below you've got a goose. I can't remember how the goose came into this story, but it's probably a Canada goose. Canada geese are a protective species and they're a pest. Okay, who have we got here? Oh my goodness. The story of the three bears and Goldilocks herself. Goldilocks was never happy. The porridge was either too hot or it was too cold, and eventually she got to it was just right and she gobbled down the porridge, and needless to say, when the bears came home, they were not happy and figured out it was Goldilocks. And there you see Goldilocks running for her life because she has been exposed. That, no doubt, is Hillary Clinton and the Steele dossiers and the Russia hoax. That is what's meant by that fairy tale right there. She's now caught and she's been going to be subpoenaed and she's going to give evidence, and we'll see if Trump will lock her up. He certainly hasn't locked her up so far, and he's a long time talking about locking her up, but she hasn't been locked up, so we'll see. Anyway, that is Hillary Clinton. Continuing on. Oh, this is unbelievable. This, of course, is good old Cinderella. That's a great story. Cinderella was a poor working girl, and she was living in a capitalistic system, and she had it struggling, etc. But she must have got an EBT card or whatever, and she was given a couple of wishes, and she wanted to go to the ball. She wanted to go to Costco and get free stuff, I guess, which she did, but Costco closes at midnight. And needless to say, she was shopping so much with her card, with her EBT card, that she filled up the cart and she didn't get out in time. And sure enough, when Costco closed, the horses turned into rats and the carriage turned into a pumpkin, and she had to run for her life, and she turned into her ugly clothes, but she lost her beautiful slipper.
Well,
And the fellow that foolishly fell in love with the princess picked up the slipper and eventually found, I think she was living down in South Boston. I'm not sure now, my mind is hazy. But anyway, the slipper fitted her foot and they all lived happily ever after down in South Boston. Okay, what have we got next? Who have we got here? It's getting
The old woman who lived in a shoe.
well, this too might refer to the projects down in South Boston. D Street projects. The projects were not pretty, but it did have a great advantage. They were free, and you got everything free. Free heat in the summer when you didn't want it. Free heat in the winter when you most certainly did. It was all good. Everybody lived in the projects, and they were happy. They were poor people, and why not? They deserved a break in their life. Now, we see the old lady in the shoe there giving some punishment to a child. That obviously refers to in 1991 when the federal authorities came in and they arrested and locked up 51 drug dealers. And they were all stand-up guys, or at least they pretended to be any of them, some of them, and they served their time without saying nothing. Except, of course, Whitey Bulger escaped. I believe that there is Whitey Bulger. The reason why he escaped was because he was an informant for the FBI, and that is, I believe, what is being depicted there. He's looking lovingly at a child. We cannot go any further into that story because I'd be scared of offending somebody in South Boston. Okay, what have we here? Well, needless to say, Sleeping Beauty. Oh, what a sad tale of Sleeping Beauty. I have met some beauties in my life, and they did a lot of sleeping. But anyway, she was given a poisoned apple. She fell asleep and slept for 100 years. That obviously refers to the drug epidemic that is plaguing this country now. 100,000 people die of drug overdoses. It's a very sad story. Their beautiful apple is laced with poison called that chemical they put onto it. You do it down in fentanyl. Enough said about that. That is it. These little stories are getting more sad as I go along. I hope I'm near the end of them because I can take no more of these sad stories. Well, thanks be to God, we're at the emergency exit. Because when you take that drug and when it's laced with fentanyl, you better have the ability to get to this way. Get to the emergency room. Welcome to Mother Goose Village. Now, this is beautiful. There we've got the Wicked Wolf, and sure, what village would not be fully functioning without a wicked wolf? I suspect that is a reference to the migrants that are coming in from Ireland, that they could be a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not politically correct to talk about the migrants anymore, so I'm gonna have to continue on. Well, the smartest pig. This is a fantastic story. Those three little pigs. Lower class, middle class, and upper class. The lower class pig, he took the free housing. It was a council house. Maybe it was up in Donegal, made out of that mica. The bottom line was, when the bad guy came, he just blew it down. Middle class guy, well, he had to get a big mortgage, and he could only afford a badly built house, some sort of a prefab or whatever. That too, when it came to a crunch, he wasn't successful, it was blown down. The guy with all the money, gotten easy money during the Celtic Tiger, well, he was all set because he had a big Mac mansion. And he was all set up until today. Now it's changing, of course, because what's changing today is the WEF. They're going to take your house whether you like it or not. You'll end up with nothing. You'll own nothing and be happy. That is what's represented right there. Ah, one of my favorites, the lazy pig. The lazy pig, we didn't say anything about the lazy pig at all because the lazy pig represents the Dáil Éireann. There's 174 lazy pigs in there. They haven't worked a day in their life. That is the lazy pig. Mary had a little lamb. I think that represents Mary Lou McDonald. Who else could it be? Let's focus in on Mary Lou. See how it looks like Mary Lou? Because she is angry, she is shouting, and she is a nasty one indeed. But she did have a little lamb. That represents Sinn Féin followers because they are serious mutton skulls. That's why they're a lamb, and they will follow Sinn Féin regardless. What a fantastic story! E-I-E-I-O. Ding dong bell. And the cat in the well. Pussy's in the well. Who put her in? Little Tommy Lynn. Who pulled her out? Little Johnny Stout. Now, it takes a little concentration to follow what is meant here. Not many will understand it, but fortunately, I'm here to explain it to you. Pussy in the well refers to Catherine Connolly. She is a TD from Galway West who has decided to run for president. And she's going to get elected. And they're going to see who put her in because it's going to be a mystery. Well, I'll tell you who's going to put her in. Every half-brained leftist dimwit in Ireland will vote her in. And that is what is represented. Okay, we're continuing on. Hey diddle diddle. I thought we were going to escape without this. Hey diddle diddle. Now, needless to say, this is a reference to the Epstein Island, where a lot of American politicians and big shots will go down there to an island of ill repute. See right up there? And there'll be a lot of hey diddle diddle. And that is how politicians and other wealthy people are controlled in the world today. There you see, of course, the cow jumping over the moon. That is a reference, of course, to the fact that many people believe that we actually went to the moon in 1969. That no more happened than the cow jumping over the moon. And if you zoom in on the cow there, if you believe that, you are a right tit indeed. But unfortunately, people will believe anything. That is hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. Cow jumped over the moon. Oh, the three little kittens. I don't even have anything to say about the three little kittens. They must represent those independent TDs in Ireland. Little Jack Horner sat in the corner eating his Christmas pie. He put in his thumb and pulled out a plum and said, "What a good boy am I." Now, there's a very interesting fellow here. Takes a bit of thinking to understand who he is. This, of course, is Michael Healy-Rae down in Kerry. They're so crazy in Kerry that they will elect two brothers who are, by definition, an exact example of a gombeen, and that is, I think it's Michael's brother, the other Michael Healy-Rae, but they're both two of a two anyway. Alright, continuing on. There was a little girl. Now, candle, girl jumping over the candle. That represents the cost of electricity in Ireland. believe it or not. Because some people back in Ireland had an idea to build wind farms and windmills, which of course is economically insanity because it doesn't work. The energy does not translate at all. The result of all this foolishness is millions of people, millions of dollars are being made by some people. Everybody else is impoverished, and you have the most expensive electricity in Ireland. And that is what's represented there by the girl tripping off the candle. Let's continue on. Ah, little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating some curds and whey. Down came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. That represents the New World Order and fractional reserve banking. I don't expect most of the viewers to understand what I'm referring to here, but the spider represents the spider web of debt, D-E-B-T, where the world has been made indebted, and now everybody is ensnared in the spider's web, and the fruit of that scheme is about to be seen. Needless to say, Miss Muffet has finally figured out what is afoot, and she is aghast because she knows that everybody are going to be reduced to poverty by the debt. Alright, rock-a-bye baby upon the treetop. Look at the poor baby. That represents the welfare system in Ireland. The amount of people in Ireland that are subsiding and dependent upon the government for their welfare is absolutely crazy. Between the people at the end of their life with old age pensions and the people at the beginning of their life with children's allowances, we've got people coming in from Ukraine, for example, and they all use the same children, needless to say. So it just so happens that every woman has about 17 kids, and her sister has 17 kids, and her cousin has 17 kids, and basically everybody has 17 kids. But in actual fact, there's only 18 kids in existence. There's 17 that goes with them all, and then there's one to spare just in case one of them gets sick. And that is why people are getting so much money in welfare. And that is what's represented by rock-a-bye baby upon a treetop. 3 blind mice. The blind mice represents all the people in Ireland that just cannot see what's happening in Ireland, that the population is being replaced. And that is why they're as blind as bats. And off they go. And man oh man, what a surprise is in for them. There was an old woman. Well, indeed there was. There was a lot of old women. But now they're afraid to go outside their houses. And that is exactly what's represented here with this lady. This lady is a younger lady, but you'll see that she is looking out the window because she is too afraid to go out because violence is growing. Well, Jack and Jill represents a young Irish couple getting married. They will save up for their house. The house will be on top of the hill. But as they save up, the price of the house goes up and up and up. And it is an impossibility to get to the top of the hill because the top of the hill is forever getting higher and higher and higher. So their house is actually out of their reach. And that is what's represented there. Eventually, they will just give up and they'll tumble down the hill. And that is Jack and Jill, otherwise known in Ireland as Paddy and Biddy. Little Boy Blue. Well, Little Boy Blue represents people that watch on RTE. Because when they're listening to so much lies and bullshit from RTE, you'll actually go blue in the face from listening to it. And that's what's represented there. There was a crooked man. There was a crooked man. In Ireland, there's about 2 million crooked men. And they are married to about 2 million crooked women. That's enough about there was a crooked man. Now, look at this fellow. Oh my goodness. The fellow that was sitting on the wall. Do you know who he is? He's that bald fellow that was pushing the COVID vaccine. Like, I even forget his name because he was so forgettable. And usually I don't forget many people's names. But he anyway has been pushing this vaccine. And now it appears as if the truth is coming out. And he's going to be toppled if there's any justice in life. And he's going to break into a million pieces. And all the king's horses and all the king's men will not be able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Ah, Mary, Mary, quite contrary. This is the end of the story. What this represents here is when the music stops, you'll have a lot of very contrary people. And that, and then and only then, is when these people will say, why did we have money to give to the Ukraine? Why did we have got money to give to Africa? $1 billion a year in foreign aid given to places like Uganda. Do you know what they did in Uganda? They bought Russian MiGs, their fighter craft. So you had Ireland. I think they've got a helicopter in their air force, giving money to Uganda to buy state-of-the-art fighters. You couldn't make it up. Jack Sprat. Oh my goodness. The poor man, he could eat no fat. This is still Ireland in the good times. Obesity has made its entrance. That is due to the quality of food. Poor Jack though. Jack, I guess, is anorexic because he is as thin as a whip. But you know something? Between the two of them, they get on quite fine. Now, to sum it all up, that is the world described in a nutshell around there. We are on the merry road, up and up and up to the castle in the sky. Because people in Ireland, they are living in cloud cuckoo land. Thank you for watching.